I will not even say drama bin drama. Not only because I said earlier there's too much drama in Kenya, and therefore it becomes monotonous, but also because in this instance, it would not fit the bill. Why? And interestingly, many people missed the main story. Many people missed the main story with the remarks of the Deputy President at the National Prayer Breakfast yesterday. At least in my view, the story, the big story, was not the joke DP Ruto made at the expense of Raila Odinga. No. The story was the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya exchanging barbs in public with the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Republic of Kenya. After the Deputy President's controversial remarks, the joke about Kenya donating its Prime Minister to Britain, because of the current crisis. After that joke, the President made some very brief remarks. And in his brief remarks, he said the following: that there are some more donations Kenya would like to make. Yes. And then, so that nobody would mistake who he was talking about, he said, and then we will have peace for the next 3 years. Now, this very public display for hatred for one another is still shocking me, although it shouldn't. Now, before I proceed, I'd like to share a very fascinating encounter I had this morning, with my colleague here, Hezron. Hezron looked at me and said the following: "We Chris unapendanga sana kujifanya. Ati uko shocked? Uko shocked nini? Si maneno uliongea 2016." Hezron, of course, was referring to the time, I believe it was in the tail end of 2016, when in my Kumekucha raw notes, which I was running at that time, I made a revelation that there was a big problem between the president and his deputy. They had fallen out, and in a very major way. Now, the response I received is that I had the highest number of people unsubscribe after one report. People told me, Kumekucha, you're now cooking stories. Not a single person, even my staunchest supporters, believed that story. And looking back, I don't blame them. Remember that in the tail end of 2016, that was the run-up to the 2017 elections. How does a president, fall out with his deputy just before a general election? How? How does that happen? Anyway, although this reaction from people, because I'm human, had an effect on me, and I started having some self-doubt, wondering, could I be wrong? Despite all that, I relooked my source of information, I rechecked everything, and I stood by my story. Now, you'll remember even on this channel, it's the same story I've been pushing, and the reaction has been consistent. Anyway, the long and short of what I'm trying to say is that actually I should not be surprised. But guess what? I am shocked beyond words. Why am I shocked? Because this has come out in a public outburst, or rather public outbursts, by both the Deputy President of Kenya and the President of the Republic of Kenya. Because at the same prayer breakfast, DP Ruto took a long time to speak about his past. He spoke about 1978, when the founding father of the nation, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, passed on. Ruto at the time, I believe 12 years old, was looking after cattle somewhere. And according to the Deputy President, he ran home thinking it was the end of the world. Clearly, the sharp contrast the Deputy President wanted to bring out was him herding cattle and the President domiciled inside State House, being brought up on a silver spoon. And the Deputy President did not stop there. He continued talking and speaking about himself at this prayer meeting. I emphasize that because the Deputy President is a Christian, and every good Christian knows that the focus of a prayer meeting is never yourself and your achievements. You're trying to take the glory to yourself. The focus is shifting from God Almighty to you. Yeah. Anyway, he went on to say that in 1981, he got his first pair of shoes. If I'm not mistaken, at that time the Deputy President was 15 years old. Yeah, bottom line, he wore his first shoes at the age of 15. And he even remembers the person his father bought his first pair of shoes from. Yeah, for 60 Kenya shillings. Yeah, the man was called Mr. Onyango. Where was the Deputy President going with all this? Well, it became very clear with the next thing he said. He said that some people at that prayer meeting, of course referring to himself, have got more reasons to thank God than others. And that is why when they go to churches and contribute money, yeah, people should understand. Indeed, he begged people to understand. Now, that very clearly was a barb at the president. Yeah, and the lead he has taken in the fight against corruption. Now, let us leave the words spoken and let's look at the body language. The body language at the high table, yeah, where the president was seated very close to the deputy president, was ice cold. The deputy president was reduced to occasionally talking to his wife, Rachel Ruto. But for me, the high point was when the deputy president made his joke, yeah, offering to donate Raila Odinga to the British, yeah, because they have a current problem with their prime minister, who has resigned. The president knew the cameras were focused on him, yeah, to get his reaction, and therefore he tried very hard to resist, yeah, showing any emotion. In fact, he tried so hard that he had to look aside. You can review that video. He had to look aside. And what came out was something like a false smile. But the truth is, the body language of this president indicated very clearly that he was very angry. That was his reaction to that joke by Deputy President William Ruto. And this was confirmed by what he said when he took to the podium to make his remarks, yeah, about the country making more donations, yeah, so that we can have peace for the next 3 years. You know, it's not possible to hide the truth for a very long time, because the deputy president has been going around to meetings and making donations, yeah, claiming that some of that donation is from the president. Yesterday's events, yeah, that very dramatic prayer breakfast, made it crystal clear that the deputy president has been lying. Well, I guess there's nothing new about that, except that some of these lies the deputy president told, he was telling at the pulpit, yeah, of a church. He was telling lies right inside the house of God. A God he professes, yeah, and a God he tells us he respects and he loves. I'm not judging the deputy president. Yeah, let he who was not sinned through the first stone. All I'm doing is presenting the facts, yeah, to you, yeah, because this is a channel for political analysis. And in political analysis, it is important to understand the true character of your leaders, and especially prospective presidential candidates. And so we, the voters, we, the people of Kenya, have a right to look at the facts and to question things about our leaders. Of course, if you don't want to be questioned by anybody, don't go into leadership. Yeah, stay in your private life, do your private things. We will never analyze your actions. Yeah, it's as simple as that. But if you're in the public domain, especially if you want to be our president, well, that's how things go. Yeah. Expect us to analyze you with a microscope. Yeah. Now, this is an important point because both supporters of Raila Odinga and supporters of the deputy president have in recent times been firing Barbs at me, criticizing me. Yeah, how dare you criticize Baba? Yeah, don't put Baba on the same level as DP Ruto, etc., etc. Well, there's the answer for you. These are people who are public figures, and we have to speak about them. We have to analyze what they're doing. Worship of your favorite politician, this is not the forum for that. Okay? I think a better forum for that would be their Facebook page, yeah, where you can sing praises of your favored political candidate from morning till evening and even at night. And anyway, don't you think it's very unfair if I criticize Deputy President William Samoei Ruto and I do not criticize former Prime Minister Raila Odinga? Don't you think that's grossly unfair? Don't you think that is a sign, clear sign, of me being a sycophant, yeah, of a particular candidate who I can't criticize? Anyway, everybody in Kenya and well beyond is talking about the events at this prayer breakfast. People are still in shock. And some people are even saying, surely now we have seen it all. Nothing more can happen in Kenya that is going to shock us. Well, I have breaking news for you this morning. Mambo bado. Tena bado sana. That's the truth. Now I want us to focus on a very obvious question. If you're President of the Republic of Kenya, you're very powerful. Yeah? And if you're angry at your Deputy President, why don't you just get rid of them? Why? Now I have no doubt on my mind that the President has got excellent advisors. And I'm certain that some of those advisors will have advised, yeah, that a DP Ruto still in circulation is much better for the President than a DP Ruto who has completely been hounded out of office. There is also a very wise expression or saying which goes, keep your friends close, but your enemies, keep them closer. History has proved time and time again that indeed these are very wise words that each and every one of us should follow. Don't run away from your enemies. Keep them close. Because when they're far away, they're much more dangerous. You have no idea what they're up to. But when they're close, they already have a big problem. Yeah, how to conceal, yeah, the evil that they want to do against you. That already does a very huge job of keeping them in check. But admittedly, you can follow good advice and still end up very frustrated, yeah, which is what we saw at the breakfast yesterday, at the prayer breakfast yesterday. I hesitate to use the word prayer because yesterday's events, yeah, were a mockery, yeah, to that holy word of prayer. What we saw unfold is not what should happen at a prayer meeting. Yeah, that should be pretty obvious to all of us. And don't be surprised, yeah, do not be surprised at all if God responds, yeah, because you don't mock God. It is not possible to mock God. Whoever you think you are, yeah, and however important you think the office you seek at all costs is, yeah, God cannot be mocked, period. Now, politically, I think it is very important for us to note that once again, the Deputy President is pushing very hard, yeah, the narrative of dynasties versus hustlers. If you carefully observed the body language of the Deputy President yesterday, yeah, he was being very emotional. Yeah, there was a lot of emotion. At one point, his voice even shook with emotion. Still, these were not off-the-cuff remarks. This was a prepared speech, a carefully prepared speech. Now, in my humble view, yeah, and I could be wrong, but in my humble view, I don't think this dynasties versus hustlers rhetoric or narrative is going to gain traction. It won't. Because what handlers of the Deputy President want is for it to gain traction and to help him to ascend to power in 2022. Now, why do I think it will not gain traction? There are many reasons, but the main reason, in my view, is because the character of the deputy president has been damaged beyond repair. Whether he is guilty or not of corruption is now irrelevant, because all Kenyans, without fail, perceive him to be corrupt. Even his own supporters. However, the difference with his supporters is that they hold the view everybody's corrupt. And therefore, the hustler has been smart to rise from poverty and land at the high table. Where there are others who are more corrupt than him. That is the view of his supporters. But the perception of the entire population of Kenya is that the deputy president is corrupt. And that is an image which is impossible for him to recover from. Had he been a self-made man, made money out of something else, like buildings, real estate, private business, then this would have been a very different story. But everybody knows he has made his money from politics. Everybody knows that before he joined Youth for KANU 92, he was a pauper. His life changed with that organization, whose main objective was to distribute money for political purposes. The re-election of President Moi in the first multi-party presidential elections in 1992. And so that is an image he cannot shake off, of being a corrupt person. That is the perception. The facts in this particular case are irrelevant. Now, to millions of Kenyans, whom is attempting to sell the hustler story to, they have never had an opportunity to be close to the rich and powerful, so that they can also grow rich overnight. They've not had that opportunity. And therefore, it is impossible for the public who are struggling, the real hustlers out there, to identify themselves with the deputy president. That is an impossibility. And I'm very surprised that the deputy president, who is a very intelligent person, has not been able to see this thus far. Because he has been selling his merchandise for over a year now. Which merchandise am I talking about? This merchandise of the hustler versus privileged dynasties of Kenya. So if it was going to gain traction, it should have gained traction by now. And it hasn't. And that tells us something. All, in all the 17 years that this prayer breakfast has been held in Kenya, this year will stand out. It will stand out as the year of shame. When the whole meaning of the prayer breakfast was abused and insulted. A year that I'm certain historians will not forget to mention. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.